Why do so many successful entrepreneurs say selling taught them more than school ever could? It's not just about making a sale, it's about reading people, understanding their needs, and knowing when to push and when to back off. Schools teach you theory, but selling teaches you life. You learn how to handle rejection, build trust, and think on your feet. It's like getting a masterclass in human behavior without ever stepping into a lecture hall. And let's be real. Most of us don't even know how to sell ourselves, let alone a product. So why is it that selling is so much more than just a job? Because it's a mirror to your emotional intelligence and your ability to connect with others. And that's something no textbook can ever teach you. We think education is the ultimate path to success. But that's only true if you're selling ideas, not products. Schools prepare you for exams, not for real-world interactions. They give you knowledge, but not the tools to use that knowledge effectively. You can have a degree in marketing, but if you can't read a customer's body language or close a deal, what good is it? It's like having a recipe but no kitchen to cook in. You might know the theory, but you don't know how to apply it. And that's where selling comes in. It's the bridge between what you know and what you can do. It's the gap that education often ignores, but selling fills perfectly. In a 2022 Harvard Business Review study, 78% of top-performing sales professionals reported learning critical emotional intelligence and negotiation skills on the job, not in the classroom. That's not just a number, it's a wake-up call. These people didn't get their skills from books or lectures. They got them from real-life interactions, trial and error, and the pressure of closing a deal. They learned how to listen, how to persuade, and how to handle failure without losing their edge. Schools can't teach you that. They can't replicate the high-stakes environment of a sales pitch or the emotional roller coaster of a negotiation. This isn't just about selling, it's about understanding human behavior, which is the root of the phenomenon. Let's get real for a second. Education systems around the world are built on the idea that knowledge is the ultimate currency. But here's the catch, knowing a bunch of facts doesn't automatically make you good at navigating life. Especially when it comes to selling, negotiating, or even just getting along with people. The real world doesn't give you a textbook to follow. It throws you into the fire and expects you to figure it out. That's where the gap shows up, between what we're taught in classrooms and what we actually need to survive and thrive in the real deal. Schools teach you how to solve equations, write essays, and memorize dates. But they rarely teach you how to read people, build trust, or handle rejection. And that's a problem because, in the end, selling isn't about products, it's about people. So if you're walking away from school thinking you've got all the tools you need, you're probably missing the most important ones, the ones that help you connect, persuade, and influence others. You know what's wild? The more we focus on academic achievement, the more we ignore the soft skills that actually drive success. Think about it, how many top CEOs, entrepreneurs, or even just everyday high performers do you know who got where they are just by acing exams? Probably not many. They probably had to learn how to read a room, how to handle pressure, and how to push through when things got tough. But here's the thing. None of that is taught in a classroom. Schools are built on the idea that if you know enough, you'll succeed. But in reality, success is more about how you interact with others, how you adapt, and how you handle failure. It's not just about having knowledge, it's about knowing how to use it. And that's where the real learning happens, outside of school, in the messy, unpredictable world of human interaction. So when we're stuck in a system that values theory over practice, we're setting people up for failure in the real world. Now that we've seen how the system is broken, it's time to look at why this gap exists in the first place. Schools are built on the assumption that knowledge is the key to success, but that's only half the story. The other half is how well you can use that knowledge to influence, adapt, and connect with people. And that's the part that's missing. It's not that schools are bad, it's that they're not designed for the messy, emotional, and unpredictable nature of real-life selling. They're designed for testing, grading, and memorization. So when students graduate, they're often left with a lot of facts but no idea how to use them in the real world. And that's the real problem. We're teaching people how to think, but not how to act. Now that we understand the root cause, let's explore how this mechanism plays out in the real world. Let's break down how selling actually works, and why it's so powerful. Selling isn't just about pushing a product, it's about triggering a psychological process. First, you have to build trust. People don't buy from someone they don't believe in. Then, you have to make them see value. That's not just about price, it's about how the product fits into their life. Finally, you need to persuade them emotionally. Salespeople use stories, body language, and even the way they speak to make you feel something. It's not about logic, it's about feeling. And that's why some of the best salespeople are also the best storytellers. They know how to make you care. Now, let's look at how people actually behave when they're buying. You'd think they'd make decisions based on facts, right? But nope. Studies show that people make 90% of their decisions based on emotion. That's why sales training focuses so much on reading body language, using tone, and even creating urgency. Think about the last time you bought something online. Did you analyze every feature? Probably not. You probably felt something, like a deal was too good to pass up or that the product would solve a real problem. Salespeople exploit that. They know that if they can make you feel something, you're more likely to act. And that's how they close deals. Ignoring how selling works means you're missing out on some of the most valuable skills in life. You don't just learn how to sell, you learn how to read people, how to handle rejection, and how to build relationships that last. These aren't just useful in business, they're useful in personal life too. Think about it. The ability to persuade someone isn't just for sales, it's for convincing your boss, your partner, or even your kids. But if you ignore these lessons, you're stuck in a loop of bad communication, missed opportunities, and frustration. You might not even realize it's happening. But even with this understanding, people often fall into a trap when trying to apply these lessons. You've probably heard people say, "I'm gonna take a sales course and become a pro." It sounds simple, right? But here's the thing, most of these courses are just surface-level stuff. They give you scripts, tips, and tricks that work in theory but fall flat in real life. People think if they read a few books or watch a bunch of YouTube videos, they'll master selling overnight. But selling isn't about memorizing lines or following a checklist. It's about understanding people, reading between the lines, and adapting on the fly. And that's not something you can learn from a textbook or a 30-minute video. It's a whole different beast. So yeah, the instant solution is tempting. But it doesn't really fix the problem. It just makes you feel like you're making progress when you're not. The real issue here is that these methods don't prepare you for the messy, unpredictable parts of selling. Think about it, how many times have you seen someone fail because they couldn't handle rejection? Or because they didn't know how to read someone's body language? These are the things that happen every day in real selling, but they're rarely covered in courses. They skip the hard stuff, the emotional stuff, the real-world friction. You can't just learn to sell by studying a manual. You have to experience it, feel it, and survive it. That's where the trap lies. It's not about learning the skill, it's about learning how to live with the pressure, the uncertainty, and the emotional toll that comes with it. Now here's the twist, what if the real solution isn't about learning how to sell, but how to sell yourself? Not just your product, but your ideas, your value, your worth. Selling isn't just about closing a deal. It's about convincing someone to believe in you, your vision, your solution. That's a different kind of skill. It's not taught in business school, it's not covered in sales books. And it's not something you can pick up from a YouTube tutorial. It's about self-awareness, confidence, and the ability to connect with people on a deeper level. So instead of trying to learn selling, maybe we should be learning how to sell ourselves in every interaction. Because that's the real game changer. Now that we've seen why people fail, let's move toward the ultimate conclusion and action. We've walked through the messy, real-world truth of selling. It's not just about closing deals, it's about understanding people, solving problems, and adapting on the fly. Education might teach you theory, but selling teaches you how to apply it in the chaos of life. And yet, so many people try to skip the process, thinking they can fake it or shortcut their way to success. That's where they get stuck. They miss the lessons that come from real interactions. The ones that build emotional intelligence and resilience. Selling isn't just a job, it's a masterclass in human behavior. And ignoring that fact is the biggest trap of all. So, if you want to grow, you need to stop seeing selling as a task and start seeing it as a teacher. The shift you need to make right now is simple: treat every conversation, every interaction, as a chance to learn and grow, not just to sell. Whether you're talking to a client, a friend, or even a stranger, every moment is an opportunity to sharpen your skills, understand people better, and build trust. Think about it: when you're in a real conversation, you're not just pushing a product, you're listening, adapting, and connecting. That's the kind of mindset that turns average people into exceptional ones. It's not about being smooth or manipulative, it's about being genuine and present. And that kind of presence is what makes you unstoppable in any field, not just sales. This isn't just about selling, it's about how you show up in life. When you start seeing every interaction as a chance to learn and grow, you'll start communicating better, leading with more confidence, and achieving more than you ever thought possible. So, we want to hear from you. What was the biggest lesson you learned from selling? Comment below and let's grow together.